Good evening, workshoppers. Tonight's episode is a little different. I'm very sorry for those that usually always stop by and watch the show live, but my internet said no, specifically Comcast, as I have averaging less than 1 megabyte on my upload, and Twitch was just having none of that. Tried a couple times, was only able to connect once in order to go through and get the live show up and running, but you know, we're just gonna go ahead and have the show here on YouTube, iTunes. So sorry for those that normally stop by and watch it live, but you know, oddly enough, the title of tonight's episode is Bright Times Ahead, even though there's some minor setbacks. I know we had the last episode was a week delayed. This episode, for those that watch live, was a day delayed because of my schedule and all that. But, you know, it's all good. We're gonna go and push forward. Just wanted to recap on some of the smaller little fluffy stuff. There's an interesting little thing that the Diablo community, the community team has been going through and doing, and they've been highlighting some builds and streamers over on their Twitter page. And so that's just a nice little thing. It doesn't really seem like it's all that much, like in the grand scheme of things. But in actuality, I think that it's a nice touch because it's something that continues to keep the community engaged. It's something that keeps the content creators themselves engaged, and it's just a nice reinforcement that, hey, we're still here, you know, we're still supporting you guys that are going through and playing our game, creating content for our game, and it's just something that will help, you know, drive traffic over to the content creators, have their builds highlighted or their streams highlighted. It's nice going and seeing that. Even though we still have that continued support on the update side of things, we're going to be getting these theme seasons and, you know, some class balance changes here and there, but also the community team is still there chipping away at things, making sure that, you know, that they haven't forgotten us, which, you know, leads into, of course, you know, it's good that they're going through and doing that, even though they're kind of radio silence on everything else. We don't know when, like, the season 18 PTR or anything like that's gonna get started up, though. I mean, we're still super early into season 17, so I wouldn't, under normal circumstances, we might actually see like the next patch PTR in the next couple of weeks. We will probably still be another month away before we get the PTR for season 18 under the new structure of doing a more focused, tighter PTR and feedback session towards the end of the current season. And we have no idea where we're going to go through and end up once we get closer to BlizzCon, you know, which it seems that that's where Blizzard is, you know, hiding all of their cards for, is going to be this year's BlizzCon. As we talked about, like, earlier in the year, Blizzard, you know, pulled out of Gamescom. E3 has come and gone. There really isn't anything else for Blizzard to go through and make any major announcements, unless they make a major announcement without having it tied to some event, where, you know, they might do for new Overwatch hero, or announcing, you know, like 8.3 for World of Warcraft. I don't see them going through and doing that for something along the lines, something big like a Diablo 4, or like a Diablo 2 remaster, especially since, like, the other ones, you know, Warcraft 3 Reforged was announced at BlizzCon, and the Starcraft Remastered was announced at a major Starcraft event. We don't have, you know, we don't have all these competitions and such. There's no Diablo PvP coming in patch 1.10, so there's really no other good place for them to announce anything Diablo related at this point besides BlizzCon. You can do some other things if they manage to bring back the comic that got canceled from last year. There's the art book that's due out November-ish. Will probably be some time before we have that confirmed on the release date. But yeah, all eyes continue to go through and point to BlizzCon. And there are some interesting things that have also been coming out recently that we've seen with The biggest news article to go through and hit, which actually came out just a little bit after the recording of the last episode of Westmarch Workshop, is that it seems that Blizzard was working on a first-person Starcraft shooter. You know, rip Ghost. We'll never get to play Ghost or any iteration of that therein. But it seems that, you know, they had been developing the StarCraft first-person shooter for a little while. It was codenamed Project Ares, but that eventually went through and got canned recently, and they've moved all of the developers over to Overwatch 2 and Diablo 4. These are both things that we've heard of before. As the person that pinned this article, Jason Schreier, was the one that kind of dropped that Diablo 4 bombshell after BlizzCon, going through and talking about the Project Hades, Project Fenris, all these other things like the trials and tribulations of the Diablo franchise after Reaper of Souls, or even a little bit before Reaper of Souls launched. And so there's at least a little bit of weight behind the things that he says, so of course nothing can be confirmed. But it just is a further credence that they are actually working on Diablo 4. Now, it's something that, you know, we've gone over this point so many times on the show. I don't want to continue to beat a dead horse on that one. But if you don't accept the fact that they are working on Diablo 4 at this point, then I don't know what to tell you. They've you know, especially after last year leading up, that, you know, it's like, hey, we know what it is that you want. We're working on a whole bunch of unannounced projects, and we know exactly what it is that you want, but we're not ready to announce that thing yet. It's like they basically confirmed Diablo 4 right then and there, without actually going through and saying, we're confirming Diablo 4. So in everything but name. But it is interesting that they're going and talking about how they're moving a bunch of the developers from this canceled StarCraft FPS project over to Diablo 4 and Overwatch 2. You know, this is something similar that, you know, that potentially had happened when they kind of closed down Heroes, is that a lot of those developers got shuffled around into other teams. And one of the rumors that I had heard is that the Diablo 4 team actually took in a lot of those developers as well. You know, if that's true, that's awesome. You know, that the dev team is swelling. That's more that they can go through and do. There's obviously there's a transition time where you have to bring those new members up to speed with what it is that you're working on, if they're working on completely different tools. Because this supposed StarCraft FPS was being built within the Overwatch engine, and so if the Diablo 4 is using a different type of engine, there's going to be some, you know, learning time involved in that, and it might slow things down in the short term, but the goal is hopefully that with the larger dev team that you'll speed things up in the long term, and it, you know, might not be another 5 years before we actually get to see this game, but it does at least show that they have gotten something that they're willing to commit more and more resources to. We're kind of leaving that incubation phase, and we're actually going through. We don't need the senior developer. We need more than just these senior developers. Like, that means we're going to have an engine. We're going to have, you know, we're starting to get, you know, story done. We need character artists, concept artists, you know, or not so much concept artists, but we need people that turn the concept art into actual in-game assets. Begin going and, you know, seeing that, can we get this visual style down? Can we get, like, the theme, the overall flow of the game, you know, hammered in? And it's good. Everything's moving forward, and, you know, like the episode title is, bright times ahead. So I really do believe that this might actually be the year. I've always been the skeptic one in years past, as, oh, there's no way they're going to announce Diablo 4 this year. And I even leaving BlizzCon last year, I was skeptical if 2019 was even going to be the time that they would announce Diablo 4. But then that, you know, the article dropping all those inside looks at the development of D4, as well as just the overall radio silence from Blizzard in regards to anything Diablo related is making it seem as if they're working on something. They're going to have something big to announce this year, and it's like you've already got the mobile tie-in, you know, announced and out there. And while there's always the rumors about a potential Diablo 2 remaster, what else could there be? You know, you're not going to anchor a BlizzCon announcement with the say the Netflix series, which we also, you know, have like the 99% sure that they're working on. All the rumors going through and pointing at that, you know, the mistweets, copyright claims and stuff, but without, of course, Netflix or Blizzard actually acknowledging it. Well, I can't really think of anything else that they would have to fill that spot at BlizzCon besides Diablo 4. Yeah, I don't think the Diablo themed Dark Souls game like that shuttered Project Hades was rumored to have been would be adequate. Like people just want one thing now, and that's the next true iteration in the PC franchise for Diablo. That was again something that was touched on, you know, a little while back with J. Allen Brack, the interview that he did, is that, you know, he acknowledged the fact that they had made a misstep without, you know, actually going through and confirming that we will continue to be a PC developer. We just have teams that are going off and wanting to make, you know, mobile games, experiment, try something different, do something that they haven't done before. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. For all you know, everything considered, it's Diablo Immortal on the BlizzCon floor was a fun game to play. It did take a couple of times in order to get used to the controls. Not gonna sugarcoat it with that, and I know that could put a lot of people off just with how different it is. If you're used to a mouse and keyboard, if you never played mobile games before, it took a while to get used to. But once you got the feel for it, it was a nice, enjoyable experience. And I'll be waiting to see, you know, once Blizzard wants to talk more about the title itself, what we can go through and get out of that game. But it does show some of the things or the thought processes that are going on in the heads of the developers that are, you know, in charge of the next steps of this franchise. You know, before, you know, leaving Team 3 to go and head up a Diablo Immortal, you know, Wyatt Cheng and Matthew Berger, they created a lot of really great mechanics or fun encounters, or, you know, very interesting zones within, you know, Diablo 3 that they're now going through and working on a mobile title. So you know that the gameplay itself is going to be fine. It's just going to be like, what level of support are we going to get out of it? You know, how often are we going to have updates? How much content is there in order to consume? It's always been a big question. You know, am I going to be able to sit down and play Diablo Immortal for 8 hours during my day off? You know, is that something I can do? Even 7 years old, I can sit down and do that with Diablo 3 now. You know, I can just you can go through, run greater rifts, do bounties, play with friends, chat, hang out, and you can have a fun day off just playing Diablo 3. Is there going to be enough in Immortal for me to go through and do that? And I really wish that we would know more about it, not so much if for the sake of knowing more about the direction that they're taking Diablo Immortal, but it will also give us some indicators of what they're going to be doing with Diablo 4. I'm sure that there's a lot of cross-pollination between those teams going through and talking about, well, have you tried this? Have you done that? You know, we don't even know what the overall structure is. In the past, it used to be at Blizzard, the development was like, well, you've got, you know, Team 3 working on Diablo, you got this team working on that, this team working on this, and they were all compartmentalized. They had their own, there was some shared QA, but there was some targeted QA that was specifically for that franchise. The community teams were divided up, and they were specifically assigned to that particular development team. There was... everything was self-contained. You know, there was shared, you know, writing capabilities, but you would have a writer that was specifically kind of like you're the writing lead. You're the one that's in charge of the story or the script for this particular game. But now, or not so much a particular game, but this particular franchise. But now there's multiple games being developed within the same franchise. Is there an overarching structure to it at all? Is there someone that's, is there some developer or producer or someone that's sitting up at the top that's coordinating between everything? Are they even like having a shared workspace? Shared art assets, shared cohesion with how they want to go through and develop the storyline. Are they going to be putting in, hooks in Diablo Immortal to, kind of call out to these are things that are important now that we want to then draw further insight in or further focus in Diablo 4. It's there's a lot on the table and a lot that we could go through and learn, and I do wonder like how close the releases of these are going to be, or how much there's going to be a tie-in between Diablo Immortal, Diablo 4, and whatever it else is that they might be working on. But sadly, it looks like we're months away from having any of those answers. I do hope that I am wrong and that we get some other type of news in the interim, but I honestly believe that we're not going to hear a peep from Blizzard until BlizzCon, if not, a little bit beforehand. But while we're going through and talking about BlizzCon itself, I do just want to give a little bit of a reminder out there that you only have a couple days left, especially it's going to be even less from when this episode actually gets posted. June 19th is your last day to buy the Horde and Alliance statues for the BlizzCon memorabilia itself. These are the things that are replacing the goodie bag this year, though it is definitely a step up from, say, what we got last year in terms of goodie bags. Let me pull this up real quick. Whenever it wants to load. There we are. And so we've got these BlizzCon 2019 commemorative collectibles. You can buy them for $45, but you can only order them until June 19th. So if you want to go through and get your hands on some extra copies, if you are going to BlizzCon, you do get one. And when you got your ticket, you had to choose which one it is that you wanted to get. But so if you wanted to go through and get the other one, or just if you're not even going to BlizzCon, you wanted to pick up one just for the collector's sake, for the memorabilia, you only have a little bit of time left in order to go through and pick them up, because it's going to be a very limited run. They're only making enough to fill all their orders. I don't even know if they're actually going to be selling them on the BlizzCon floor, or from the BlizzCon pre-sale that's open up to like virtual ticket members and such. So if it's something you're on the fence about, well, you've only got a couple more days in order to try and make that decision. No pressure though, no pressure. Also in BlizzCon news, SVR and Dreadscythe are apparently making a Cards Against Sanctuary? Cards Against Nephilim? I don't know, they haven't actually named it yet, but it's a Cards Against Humanity kind of spin-off centered around the Diablo community. There's a lot of in-jokes, of course, from the BlizzCon gang. Eldorian likes to call it Diablotron. It's just we are a smaller community, and I want to say that we're a closer-knit community than a lot of the other Blizzard franchises that are out there. And so there's a lot of camaraderie between all the different community members, the content creators, streamers, what have you. And we kind of got together. There's some in-jokes from when we would go through and hang out, and there's of course the infamous Cards Against Humanity games that were played outside of BlizzCon. It was like, I know SVR, it was his first time playing it. He absolutely enjoyed it, and he wanted to make his own, and so now it's full of nothing but in-jokes. But Dreadscythe did say that he was also making a Westmarch Workshop expansion to the main Diablo BlizzCon game, so that will be interesting. I do wonder how many dick jokes it's going to have. I haven't done any of those in a while on the show. I guess maybe I should go and bring that back so that way it would maintain relevancy. But we'll see. I can't wait to go through and see it. And I hope we get a little tease, a little preview beforehand, because it would suck if you can't get like the full extent, or maybe it's like I'm just gonna have to go through and bug dread and make sure that if he wants to at least hold it until BlizzCon, so that way we have that first experience, he is gonna have to go through and publish it afterwards, so that way everyone can get on the jokes. And then one of the most surprising, as well as one of the awesomest pieces of news of this past week since our last episode is apparently Diablo Fans is coming back. This is one that definitely took me off guard. I was not expecting to go through and see this one, but there's a company called Magic Find that has bought up a bunch of fan sites from Curse. Diablo Fans, Hearthpwn, MMO Champion, as well as a couple other non-Blizzard related fan sites, and they're gonna be revived. We don't know the extent of what it is that Magic Find intends to do with the Diablo Fans community. Diablo Fans, of course, had become known as like, this is the spot for going and creating and sharing builds, and it has been sorely missed for Season 17, where people have had some difficulties sharing, you know, their top builds or the top picks, either because it's you know, made across an assortment of YouTube guides, or maybe not as easy to follow D3 planner links. The D3 planner links also don't give you like an actual guide. There's no place to write a guide or link a video. It's just, here's your skills, here's your guild, or here's your gear, and then you have to go elsewhere in order for the tips and tricks on how to play, or alternates that you can use in place of different gear. There really wasn't anything to fill that void when Diablo Fans went away. So I am hoping that the focus there does continue to maintain on having the builds, as well as just as a great community resource. I am, of course, a little bit biased in that because I was a writer for Diablo Fans for a little while there at the end. And just having a platform to go through and, you know, share ideas, you know, cover news, and have a little bit more like in-depth lore articles, of course, I always enjoyed. But we'll see. I hope that we are going to learn more about that and what Magic Find has planned for Diablo Fans, you know, going in the future. That is that one is, again, a wait and see. We don't know. We don't have any details whatsoever about what the plans are going forward, and we'll check that out. I'm sure that I will, you know, as I said, I have a personal interest in that, as I was a writer for Diablo Fans beforehand, and I will definitely, as soon as I learn anything, share that with you folks here on the show or on Twitter. So just make sure that you keep an eye at the WM Workshop on Twitter, or at myself at 9ballgamer. But to kind of like go through and close things out on this episode, we just have a couple of emails, as well as some YouTube comments and such. So we're gonna go and check some of them out real quick. Of course, in the last episode, I asked, you know, how everyone is going through and doing. How's your Season 17 going? And Korova went through and sent in his experiences so far. At the WM Workshop, my experience so far, still struggling, Paragon 400, but only at Greater Rift 55. I urgently need 2 Unities to survive the higher GRs. Didn't like the Necro, decided to try it again this season. Not the class for me. But on the positive side, one of the first Ancients I got was the chess piece that you're looking for. You bastard. And I did finally go through and get that Ancient Requiem that I had been complaining about not finding. So I do have that, and I'm only missing an Ancient Amulet now for my build, and my Lawn Mage's build is now taken off, and is a lot of fun. I mean, it was fun before, but now I'm pushing even higher. I think if time permits and I can actually play the game, let alone have a decent internet connection that I can connect to, I hope to try and push for Greater Rift 100. That'll be a first for me. Every Greater Rift that I've gone up higher now, I believe I've cleared a 96, has been a new record as for my own, you know, personal pushes. So it's, am I going to join the 100 club? We'll see. Watson also went through, sent a link, to go through, make me aware of that Kotaku article that we mentioned. So definitely, thank you for that. Definitely always appreciate going through and keeping an eye out there, Watson. Damon went through and wrote, I came in late to the season. I played the PoE Synthesis League until I had 36 of the 40 challenges. I dove into a monk as it was something that I hadn't played in forever. I didn't enjoy them much in the past. The launch season has been the most fun that I've had playing D3 for a long time. As a self-challenge, I didn't use any items from the gift or sets items at all. I just hunted ancients. The gearing process was so fun, even if something didn't fit into what I was going for, a change in power was felt with every ancient. Completed the journey for the wings. I've went back to PoE for Legion, but I still have 3 pieces of gear that weren't ancient or needed to be replaced in my build proper, so more could have been done. It was fun progress. I think I cleared a Greater Rift 90, my highest, and I was content with that. Which is one of those ones where it's like, I've been seeing a lot of people on Reddit have been going through and talking about they want this Legacy of Nightmares buff to remain permanent. There's some people at the end of Season 16 that were like, oh, I really wish that you would just keep, the Ring of Royal Grandeur, as a thing going forward. But there have been a lot of posts, a lot of people on the forums, Reddit and such that have been talking about they want this Legacy of Nightmares buff to just be it. They want to just be a permanent inclusion to the game. And there is some precedence for that. Path of Exile does it all the time. Once they go through and finish a league, they will add, a lot of times they'll add those mechanics into the base game. So it'll just always be there. I think like one of the big ones is, of course, Delve, how people just enjoyed that mechanic so much. I'm speaking from a point of ignorance in that respect, as I don't follow Path of Exile that much. But I do know that is something that they, at least, GGG does. They take those things that were wildly popular and add that into the base game so people can continue to go through and enjoy that. Maybe it would take a little bit away from whatever theme that they want to do for Season 18, but, it's something that you can always just, flub the numbers or do something maybe not involving items or set bonuses, just doing something a little bit off kilter, a little bit different, with the Season 18 if you wanted to take it that direction. But I do hope that it is something that they consider going forward, because I know it's something that I had a lot of fun with, playing some Legacy of Nightmares builds. For Necromancers, this is pretty much one of the only occasions that you're ever going to get to play a lawn build, just because of how important those ring slots are and how much it takes away in order to equip, the Legacy of Nightmares. But, we'll see what they have planned. Like I said, probably about another month away before we learn any details on the Season 18 PTR, whether it's going to be, I guess, maybe patch 2.6.6, maybe? Who knows? We'll see. And finally, to go through and close it off, Luke also posted on YouTube going through and saying the fake Latin that I mentioned when talking about the text in the Art of Diablo preview that we had from Amazon, said that fake Latin is called, oh boy, Greeking? Greeking? I want to say Greeking? I hope I'm pronouncing that right, though I'm probably not. And like I said, there was a specific term for that kind of fake Latin that they use for production mock-ups. And there you go. There you have it. That is going to go and do it for tonight's episode here. I'm very sorry that I wasn't live and I couldn't have interacting with people over there in chat. But I do hope that you go through and stay tuned and check me out on the next episode. If I have it confirmed, I will announce it on Twitter and such, but I should have a special guest for episode 167 that at this point in time will probably not be on June 26th. We're going to be shooting for June 27th, the Thursday. We have a lot of special events at work, and so I've been working a lot of evenings, and I believe that there is one currently slated for the 26th. But just keep an eye on Twitter. We'll go through, keep you all updated on that one. But until then, please just, if you have any thoughts, opinions on the show, Diablo in general, if there's anything that you want to share, any awesome experiences that you've had in Season 17, is there anything in the future that you're excited about? What are you looking forward to in Diablo 4? Are you interested in Diablo Immortal? Do you want me to stop talking about Diablo Immortal? Drop me a line at westmarchworkshop@blizzpro.com and let me know what your thoughts are. You can also follow the show. That's at the WM Workshop on Twitter. You can follow me personally at 9ballgamer. And, I stream here every other week live at twitch.tv/BlizzPro when Comcast decides that I'm allowed to, because they don't want me doing that at the moment. But usually shoot for every other Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. Though for the summer here, those dates might shift around a little bit. But again, just keep an eye on the Twitter, and I'll make sure to keep you updated on that one. For all the news and such that you can find here on the show, you can also check out diablo.blizzpro.com for more info. We're even in game, so you can follow us. We're the BlizzPro clan. You can also join us in the Westmarch Workshop community. You can also go through, hang out and chat. Discord.gg/BlizzPro. While I was having the internet troubles here tonight, before I ended up having to cancel the episode, I was hanging out in the chat there for a little bit, see if anybody wanted to come in and chat as kind of a faux, pre-show. Maybe I'll hop back in for a faux, post-show, even though nobody knows that it's the after show because I'm recording offline here. But yeah, go through, keep an eye on that. And like I said last time, I've got some other stuff that's going through and I'm planning for doing outside of the podcast that I'll be excited to go through and share with you. Probably not anytime in June, close towards the end of July. We will see. Keep an eye on that. And with that, I'll catch you guys next time.